What are you? Don't you know my name yet? That's the only answer. Tell me, who are you? Alone yourself? I'm nameless, but you are young. And I am old. Eldest. That's what I am.
What do you mean, eldest?
Eldest. Aren't my words, friend. Tom was there before the river and the trees. Tom remembers the first raindrop and the first acorn. He knew the dark under the stars when it was fearless. This old place used to be green. Now, it's all sand.
All the way from Providence, Rhode Island, welcome to the Rings of Power with Mary and Blake. It's a podcast dedicated to the Rings of Power on Amazon Prime Video. So sit back, relax, and let's chat the glory of the Second Age. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Mary Larson.
My name is Blake, and Tom Bombadil is a character that I just don't understand. I don't get him. I don't get him. I don't understand what he's doing. I don't understand. He just eludes me. What I will say is that I hope that Rory Kinnear, who plays Tom Bombadil, is the next Hagrid in the Harry Potter series on HBO.
Yes.
Scoop
him up,
please,
Skining Agent.
For the love of God, HBO, get in contact with Rory Kinnear and just say, we're backing up the truck. Here's the Brinks truck. Take however much you want. We need you to be Hagrid. That guy looks phenomenal. Can you not picture him saying this?
You're a wizard, Harry.
Can you just not picture that? Oh, man.
No, 100%. I'm right there with you.
So good.
Just his voice, everything gives us all the Potter feels. Well, everyone, Blake and I are excited to delve into this episode with you, but we do want to let you know that if you're enjoying these podcasts, we have a slew of others that you can check on out right at maryandblake.com. You can even head to that website, click in the upper right-hand corner, and leave us a voicemail feedback if you ever wanted to share your thoughts on a particular episode. And we would love for you to head on over to Facebook, search Mary and Blake, where you get to geek out with all other nerd friends, whether you want to talk Rings of Power, Outlander, or any of the other shows that we cover. Just head on over there to our exclusive group, and we cannot forget to thank our friends at jointhenerdclan.com, where you are making a huge difference to keep these free podcasts going for around the world listeners. For less than a cup of coffee, you can join and be a patron at jointhenerdclan.com, get lots of fun perks, and we want to thank all of you who are already supporters there. All right, let's get into the show. All right, my friends, it is time for our mini plot recap for those of you who are not elves and whose memory does fade every once in a while, that you would like to have a wee bit of a memory boost. This is episode 4 of season 2, The Eldest. And in this episode, Elrond and Galadriel, they're trying to head on out to Eregion. They come to that bridge, and then they go to the creepy woods, and they deal with all those creepy things. The stranger hangs out with Tom Bombadil. Nori and Poppy, they get to meet some other, like, Harfoot, Hobbity store people. Poppy's got some ice for somebody. Pretty exciting. And we also get to meet some Ents with Arondir and Estrid and Isildur. So we get some pretty cool stuff going on. Galadriel says goodbye to Nyanya, her ring, gives it to Elrond, and she ends up getting captured by Adar.
All right. So this episode was entitled, as Mary said, Eldest. It was directed by Sana Hamri, who you should not. You should not know who this person is. This is her.
You
first,
may not. Yeah.
Yeah, this is her first foray into Rings of Power, but she is a very experienced director. She has directed episodes of Gen V, also on Amazon Prime if you are a fan of The Boys. The Wheel of Time, American Horror Stories, the show Empire, Shameless, Rectify, Hemlock Grove, Elementary, Mary, Glee, Nashville. She also directed the movie The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Love it.
2, Desperate Housewives, and she has done lots and lots and lots of music videos for a lot of hip hop and other artists in that realm. It was also directed by Louise Hooper, who you should know that name as she directed the last episode in tandem with Charlotte Brandstrom. The writer was Glenise Mullins. This is her first episode in Rings of Power. She has also written episodes of the shows Outer Range, The Continental, Warrior, and Star Trek Discovery. And Mary, I know you're not a Trekkie, but I just got to say, not a huge fan of Star Trek Discovery. For those of you Trek nerds out there, nope, was not a fan. I tried the first few episodes and just couldn't do it. Though I was a huge fan of Strange New Worlds. So along those lines, I'm in. All right, your Rings rating. How many rings are you giving this episode?
Listen, I am holding still to the 4.8. Gave it last episode, gave it the episode before that. I kind of want to give it a 4.9 just because I'm really enjoying this season overall. But on the flip side, I need to give a little wiggle room because I know it is going to get better. So staying at a true 4.8. Blake, how about yourself?
This is a 4 for me. It feels a lot like a really... It felt like a play to me. It didn't feel like it. Sorry, let me start over. I felt a lot better watching the first 3 episodes. I felt like I was in the world. And I think it was Tom Bombadil who kind of just set it off for me, where I was like, this doesn't feel right. Something is off about this. And then also the stores. I couldn't stand the kid's hair. I just... That also, again, it felt like a play to me. But there are some really redeeming things in this episode, like the whites and whatever. 4 for me. 4. Feels like a step back, but we'll see what happens. And also, not having Sauron and Celebrimbor in this episode, which to me is the strongest element of season 2, also set it back for me.
That's okay.
All right, you're GBG, you're good, you're bad, and you're great.
I know that this episode is controversial. There are definitely people out there who have hated on this episode. They've hated on the stores. They've hated on the worm. They've done all the different things. But I'm here to tell you, friends, I love it. I love just being in Middle Earth and the stores hinting to the Shire, to soft hills of dirt that are so soft that you could dig a hole in it and live in it with your family within a month. That this is why Nori's Harfoots have been traveling all this time, is essentially looking for a permanent home for the Shire. I think it's so cool. I just think that it's really neat. For those of you who like to geek out at Ancestry.com and think about what your forefathers were like and what their homes were like and what did they do for jobs and what was their kitchen like. If you just go through a little bit of your history and you realize how your ancestors lived and what they did and what they hoped for the future generations' lives to be like, this is what is super cool. The store's future generations are essentially the Harfoots, and they've been traveling because they had this goal. Some store had this foresight that this was possible, and we knowing that the hobbits end up at the Shire at a place like this is very, very exciting. So I don't know, I love having these connections because this is still part of the universe. My bad. Anything to do with Estrid, get the heck out of here, hussy. Half the time you think she's lying about being betrothed, and then her betrothed pops out of the tree jail, and she's like, oh my God. Right as Isildur's like, of course I'd save you. I'm right here. Yeah. Oh, let me put my hand on your face. Stop touching her, Isildur.
Yeah.
Girlfriend has told you countless times, I am betrothed. I'm going to steal your sword. I'm going to do all these bad things. And he just keeps, he thinks he's friggin' Romeo.
But, she's also not saying no either.
Hey,
she's
listen.
She's not like, hey, whoa, I told you. It seems to be very welcomed.
No,
I'm not gonna lie.
No, she's a friggin' hussy. Okay, she's a hussy, and he needs to know. Keep your hands to yourself.
Are you out on Estrid now?
Always. Always. I hope she dies. Honestly. I'm going there. I hope she dies.
Smokes.
And this becomes some part. Because at first I was thinking like, oh, maybe she's going to be his wife and they're going to have babies and this will become,
Well, that was the theory last episode.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm done with her. I'm so over this girl. Done. I'm as done with her as Arendir is.
Oh, yeah, he's out.
I'm done. Because Arendir's my man.
Sure.
Okay?
Once he's
That's
out.
my person.
Once he deads you, you're dead.
Yeah,
You're
he's
just dead.
definitely a Taurus.
Oh,
Arendir is 100% a Taurus, and Estrid is dead to us. We kind of wish the Ent did knock her head.
Were you
How
out
does
on
she
her?
bounce right back up from an Ent smash? Into
Were
a
you out
boulder?
on her as soon as the
Mark?
whatever
Yeah.
the husband, the stupid fiance shows up, or was it before that?
I've been out on her every time she's too cross to Isildur. Okay, but when he came in and he was like, I'm going to unlock you. Because I've been out on her a lot. I'm been off and on. I appreciate that she burned her little mark.
Yeah.
Because, death or a mark, I might take a mark every once in a while too, okay?
Sure.
But for him to unlock you and then be like, I have to take your sword because you don't get it. You don't get it, man. They're going to cast me out. And he's like, I just told you, I'm going to save you and take you to places with water. Like, it's all good. I'm Numenor. I am basically telling you I'm going to take you to live in Disneyland for the rest of your life if you kiss me. And I just don't like her. But that was the moment that she became dead to me.
Okay.
When he unlocks her. And that's when she also became dead to Arendir, just so you know.
Well, I think she was dead to Arendir as soon as he saw the...
That was his final test. He wouldn't have left the
Understood.
key.
Okay, gotcha.
And he's like, all right, you've chosen your fate.
So you think he did this totally on purpose?
100%.
Like, he knew what was going to happen.
Oh, he was standing right there.
Okay.
He was like, I'm going to camouflage.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave this right here to see what Isildur does.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew this whole thing was going to happen.
Okay.
My great Tom Bombadil. I know that you don't care about him, Blake, and you opened with that, but he makes me feel cozy. He does remind me of Hagrid. I love all of his little plants. I love the goats. He's freaking petting a lamb like paintings of Jesus. Truly, he's standing with his glow. I'm pretty sure I had a painting like this in my house growing up. My parents were very religious, of Jesus petting a lamb, glowing from behind him in warm tones. And I was like, Tom Bombadil, why are you Jesus?
He makes
beard and all.
He makes you want to drink a cup of tea with two hands.
He's just a chubby Jesus.
A chubby Jesus.
Okay? He's a little well fed. He's not just eating fish and walking in a desert. He has plenty of
He's
plants.
old, man. You don't know how his metabolism is running.
I don't care.
Maybe he's got a
I wanna
thyroid problem.
Hug this man. I'm not fat shaming. I'm just saying, compared to the paintings I had in my house,
Chubby Jesus.
if you added a little, and good for him. He's in a desert, but he's made it work.
Sure.
Okay?
He's getting plants. He's
Yep.
doing his thing.
Love it. I'm here for it.
Somehow he's getting water.
But those of you, if anyone else had that painting or you know what I'm talking about, please let me know so I'm not alone. Because I'm and his he even has his own little song and he's magic with I told you the curtains just move without him fully touching it. And who the heck is this girl talking?
Right.
Love it. Tom
Breeze
Bombadil.
and fire
You are a wizard,
explodes.
Harry.
He lights up an entire house with one candle.
He's a friggin' wizard. Like Harry Potter.
Yep.
You're a wizard, Harry.
All of it. I don't know enough about Tom Bombadil. I'm not gonna lie. My lore on him is lacking. But I would just stay with him. I don't even know.
Mary's all worked up.
And I just have always yes, stranger, you're the one that has to defeat the fire and Sauron.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Not me. I'm just gonna go pet my lamb and eat my lemons. Good for you, Tom.
Sing
Keep
with a
singing.
non-existent lady.
Oh, I love it.
All right.
I love it. What's your GBG?
All right, my good is the one shot at the beginning of the episode where we're in Numenor, we're with the elves, and the camera starts at the top and it goes down through Lindon, all the way through all the marching elves, and then down to Galadriel, and then it shows them walking back up. It's a good 40 seconds or so of just one shot, and the kind of mechanics it takes to create a shot like that is really interesting. And then it's repeated again later on in the episode. It wasn't as involved as the opening, but it's another one shot. And I like when shows or movies get a chance to kind of flex their muscles that way, where it's like, oh, no, we know what we're doing here. And you have a chance and an opportunity to kind of give the feel of what not only are you trying to say, but what you're trying to do. I really like that. My bad. I'm not going to lie. So far, it's the Dark Wizard, Kieran Hines.
He sucks.
I'm kind of out.
Out on him, out on like, oh, wait till you cross him and see what happens to your face. Oh,
Yeah.
whatever.
Like, stop.
You're not original. There's plenty of wizards here.
And you keep sending people out to do all it.
You're sending mortal men like the worst.
Yeah, and then even when you send your other little acolyte over there, nothing happens. It's just it reminds me of a bad James Bond villain. That's what it really reminds me of. And he feels like a nothing character. And I wish we actually had something where we were like, oh, dude, this guy's bad news.
Well, like, why are we supposed to fear you? Sauron is here.
Right.
I don't care about you, you little plebe. You think you're like, you know who he's like? You know the guy who has the crush on Erwin and he's like, hey, I'm gonna be bad and I'm gonna be naughty. You know, like the
Yes.
little skeevy rat guys in all of these movies. There's
Yeah,
a
sure.
skeevy rat guy in all these movies. That's who Kieran Hines Wizard is turning out to be. Like, oh, I think I'm bad. I'm gonna wear dark clothes and be in shadows and not see sunshine. We don't care about you. There's Sauron here. You don't matter.
Right. And the other thing that the other problem that I have with him as a character, all right, so Mary, this might be a little bit more difficult for you to appreciate, but I think you might understand it. Remember when you were in school and you saw your teachers and like it felt like your teachers existed only at school, like they didn't have lives outside of the classroom?
So I'm a teacher.
I know, that's why I'm saying.
And that's what happens on the flip side. They see me food shopping and they're like, oh.
Well, that's what I mean.
And I'm like, hey, I need to eat too.
Yes, I'm a real person. Like, kids, and I certainly feel like this or felt like it. Like, teachers don't exist outside of school. Or like when you go to work, or if you take lessons from something, like you feel like, okay, that's where that person is. That's where they belong, and that's only how you see them. And in your mind, you develop an expectation of that person from seeing them in that one setting at all times. I'm getting that feeling with the Dark Wizard. Like, the only time we've ever seen him is in this little throne room, and all he does is just sit there and talk and kind of threaten, but not do anything. I wish that we saw him existing outside of this little room. And I wish that we saw him actually do something that would give us the ability to actually fear him and be like, yeah, this guy's bad news. I don't think we should be messing around with him.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of him.
Right now, he just has a beard with white hair, and he just kind of sits there with his little staff.
Did you turn into pudding is my question.
Right.
Are you able to turn into chocolate pudding
Yeah.
and then eat rats in pudding form? Because if not, you're not the baddest guy in the show.
And even if that were the case, right? At least, fine, okay, he's going to play second fiddle to Sauron. Fine, no problem. But give me a reason to consider him second fiddle. Right now, he's just a jag. He's just another guy, and I don't really care. And I certainly don't care about the people with the masks and all and even a hunt for the Harfoots. It just, what are we doing?
Seriously, we've watched Phantom of the Opera. Just you wearing a mask doesn't mean anything. Can
Right.
you sing? Do you have a creepy monkey with cymbals in your basement? Because you know what? Then I might care.
At least that's characterization.
Come on, where's your monkey?
All right, my great though. I really liked the scene with the Barrow Wights. I thought their design was spectacular. It's a little Game of Thronesy, but I'm here for it, and I really like it. I really liked how they would get injured and then they would kind of like rebuild themselves and their head would pop up, and I really liked that. The chains and the hands and grabbing people, bringing them in. I thought the direction was fantastic. I knew where I was. I knew where the other characters were, how they all related to each other. And Mary, you had mentioned something a little bit about the lore from the show earlier. I quite like the fact that the show can reference its own lore, and not Lord of the Rings lore necessarily, but like lore just from this world. And Elrond coming up and knowing, oh, I know what this is. I have to go get the swords that it was buried with in order to defeat it. I like that. I like the fact that we get the lore. And I like that there's a little bit of lore with Tom Bombadil that exists outside of just the Rings of Power story. And I thought that scene was a really great scene.
Agreed.
And I thought that was probably the highlight of the scene
Super
of
creepy.
the show for me.
Just having those dark holes and things reach out. And obviously, you know, we had this happen earlier where we were actually questioning who is it who's capturing these messenger elves. So now to have the answers and have them be super creepy and the squelchy, crunchy sounds, I'm here for it.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so what else stands out to you about this episode, Mary? Anything that you want to begin with?
I think you get to choose your journey. It really depends upon which
right,
characters you want to start
here's
with.
the big
follow.
question, the cliffhanger that we leave on. That is Adar grabbing the arrow, the flaming arrow of what the heck's her name? Galadriel's, and being like, "Hey, whoa, what are you up to?
Yeah,
how you doing?" Where do you think this leads, Mary? Where do you think that this goes between Galadriel? Does Adar form an alliance with Galadriel? Does he take her prisoner?
Yes.
Yes to all of it.
Yes.
What do you think this means?
I think Galadriel is hot-headed, and she does not want to make friends. She didn't want to make friends in Numenor. She probably won't want to make friends with Adar. So it takes her a while. She is a stubborn elf who thinks that she's the only one who can know what's going on, that other races are always wrong. Shame on her for her arrogance.
Sure.
And it's going to cost her time. It's going to cost her issues. But yeah, I think Adar, I think if she and Adar really had some good conversations, they'd be able to make progress. Maybe if he introduced her to the orc baby, and he'd say, "Listen, I got families too. See my little orc baby?
I got orc babies over here.
Come on." But I think Galadriel's going to be prisoned because she doesn't want to be teammates.
Right, sure. And she imprisoned Adar, but at the same time,
and he's also he's heading to Sauron.
Right, to take him out.
I don't think Galadriel on purpose at this point would want to go face Sauron by herself. So I think this is the way she's going to get to Sauron.
Understood. So do you think that's going to bring about you're the enemy of my enemy is my friend type deal in a very
eventually
temporary alliance?
Eventually. I don't think for quite some time, because Galadriel's thick as, the boulder that Estrid had her heads against.
What do you think about the Ents, Mary?
I love me some Ents. We have been looking for Ents. We've talked about them throughout all of the Lord of the Rings stuff, and to see them, like I said, in season 1, episode 1, when we see the comet go across the sky, having the Ents and the Ent wife.
Oh, the Ent wife. Not happy.
Oh my gosh.
Although when Arondir shows up and he just touches the bark a little bit and he starts talking all sweet to her.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I felt like it switched a little quickly.
I would disagree. I think he was speaking in a tongue that she knew was very special and sacred. He starts to touch her and she grimaces.
Sure.
And then he says, I'm kindly asking for your forgiveness. We're here to kill orcs. We're going to do whatever we can. I know you're deeply in grief. And so I don't think it happened too quickly. I think she kind of needed a hug.
She definitely needed a hug.
And he was able to kind of do that through elf magic.
Well, you look into those dreamy eyes, and
If Arendir can't do it, then what the hell are we doing in Middle Earth? Let's be real.
What do we do in Middle Earth?
If Arendir says, please forgive me. We're here. I'm so sorry for your loss. And he just like kindly touches your arm while you're crying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's sensitive. He's a Pisces.
He's like a little cake pop. Who's a Pisces?
Arendir.
No.
You don't think so?
We just said he was
Oh,
a
he's
Taurus.
a Taurus. You're right. Sorry, my fault. That man could read the phone book in Elvish, and you'd be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I get it. Yeah, I'll melt.
I kind of wanted to be like, if you want a human sacrifice, you could take that jabroni girl over there. You could take Estrid. What's her name? But the knowledge for them to say, what does that sword, what does that weapon fell?
Yeah.
It fells orcs.
Right, yeah.
And the conversation that they have where, have you ever hurt a living tree?
Right, and we know going back to season 1.
3?
Yeah, where he
of
takes
season
down
1?
the tree. Yeah.
Exactly, where he takes it down. He's in the orc camp and, his friend was just slashed in the throat and he knows someone has to do this or more people are going to die.
Right.
He even apologized to the tree.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I love it. I loved how he was honest because he could have lied.
Sure.
And said, no, I've never touched a tree. No, he definitely has.
Sure. An interesting thing, Mary, that happens in this episode is the little leaves of the Ent wife. How they're left behind, the flower petals, and how they're left behind. And each time we see them, we're like, oh, wait, hold on. Something ain't right here. And then when Arendir sees the movement of those flower petals later on, and he recognizes, oh, there's some bad news stuff happening here. And then, of course, she shows up and she gives Estrid the business. I really like that. I like that the show led us up to that without telling us exactly, hey, these are going to be Ents. It's not in your face, but as long as you paid attention to it, you would understand what was happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I liked that. I thought that was cool.
Of course, throughout this process, they release the humans who they have captured, one of whom is Estrid's betrothed, who's real. And then they also rescue Theo. So Theo and Arendir have this nice embrace. Theo says, you came for me. And he's like, of course I did, man. I made a promise. And Arendir asks Theo, do you want to come with me? I have some things I need to take care of. And Theo says, no, I have my own things to take care of. I have my own promises to keep. Mm-hmm. What is this shady kid up to? First off, he knows where the wild men hang out, so he can go try to save Barrack. Mm-hmm. And second of all, Theo, who are you making promises to? Are you making little, pinky swears with some friends while you're playing marbles or something?
What are we doing?
Who has Theo made a promise to, Blake?
I don't know, and that's the problem.
Was it to his mom?
Maybe.
He doesn't really like other people. Has he made it to himself about his dad? Is this I need to go find my dad? I don't know. But Theo, I don't understand. What promises do you have to make? You're 5.
Yeah,
in the show now you're 15.
It's true. I don't know. I just don't get it. And I get the ones that Arendir says, I got promises to make. I get promises to keep. I get that. That makes sense. But here's what I'll tell you what it feels like, Mary. It feels like the show needed Theo to be gone. And there was no real reason for him to be gone. Right? And it gives him the option of saying, of when Arendir says, hey, you can come with me. But they don't know what to do with him. They don't know what to do with Theo. So they're like, yeah, let's just have Theo say, I got promises to keep too. And that's it.
Miles to go before I sleep.
Yes, right, exactly. I don't know, to me, he's a nothing character. He's a boring character. And they're like, okay,
I'm holding out hope.
Let's just trim the weeds here a little bit and have one less thing to worry about.
I cannot wait for Arendir to see Galadriel again. That needs to happen.
How come?
Well, Arendir's promise is to go find Adar, and now Adar has Galadriel.
Right. And what kind of clash will there be?
Maybe he saves her.
Oh,
because if anyone's going to save
It's
you,
gonna be
it needs to be Arendir.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I'd love that.
What kind of clash will there be, though, when Adar and Galadriel are kind of gonna, in our estimation, they're gonna team up as buddies and be like, "We need to do this." Like, what do you think Arendir is gonna say about that, though? That's the big problem.
I don't know if Galadriel's going to have come to that realization yet, though.
You don't think so?
No. She's very stubborn.
That's a good point. Good point. She's a Taurus too.
Yeah. And not in the good ways.
No.
So, okay. So that to me is kind of the Arendir, Estrid, Isildur storyline. Theo, all those kind of humans. I guess the humans.
Yeah, the humans.
Then we get the stranger. So the stranger blew away Nori and Poppy, bippity boppity boo.
Yes.
Somehow they are alive.
Yeah, I have no idea how that happened.
Pop right up.
Who knows how far they went and then how far they fell.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah, we're here. Like, and then it's very, I'm not sure if this was really in the intention, but the way that they have Nori kind of get up and then you see Poppy's legs underneath like the tree, it was very much reminiscent to me of Wizard of Oz with the witches'
yes.
feet and everything. Felt very much like that to me. I'm not sure if that was on purpose, but if
I'm
you
here
saw
for it.
that, I'm here for it too.
Poppy needs to wash her feet. Get some shoes.
Oh my goodness gracious.
God, gross.
Nasty. Don't
What
want
was that
anything to do
Colby
with that.
Calais, like bubblegum toes or something? Remember that pop song?
No, not at all.
What? It's
Hold
like
on.
Colby Calais and it's something like Bubble Toes or something. She had a straight up love song about toes.
Hold
And did you type in?
I'm doing it right now. Hold on.
Don't just type in toes or love toes because you're gonna get on
then
some
you're gonna get
weird,
some weird-
Hobbit foot.
Some-
Yes.
into some-
But it needs to be
people are
Colby Calais.
weird,
I'm
man.
pretty sure it's Colby Calais toes, bubble toes or something. But anyway, yeah, she wakes up with her nasty feet, and then nothing. The guy with the weird blowout, the blowout gone wrong. Did you find it?
I'm trying. Hold on.
Oh, I'm gonna have to find it.
No. Keep talking. I got it.
He shows on up and he makes eyes because he's like, I've seen those toes, and I like those toes.
Colby Calais bubbly lyrics. Is that it?
Maybe. Yeah, bubbly. I mean, if you just type in Colby Calais toes, bubbly is the one that comes on. I know that she's talked about toes. Oh, it starts in my toes and I crinkle my nose.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then why did I
gotcha.
think bubble toes? I don't know. You take over. Wait, Jack Johnson has a song called Bubble Toes.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh,
he
it's Jack
does.
Johnson. Jack Johnson sings about bubble toes. Why are these people be having so many weird foot fetish songs? Okay, so Jack Johnson. Yeah, it's as simple as something that nobody knows that her eyes are as big as her bubbly toes. On the feet of a queen of the hand of the cards, feet are infested with tar balls. Pull that up.
rhyme?
And la da 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 da. You know this one?
Oh, yeah.
Da, 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 da. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's as simple as something that nobody knows. Her eyes are as big as her bubbly toes. On the feet of a queen of the hearts of the cards, her feet are infested with tar balls. And la da
does
da
that
da
rhyme?
da. I don't know, but he definitely. There we go. That's what was going on in nobody's mind. He's just singing la da 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 da, getting some water, and then he looks up, and there is some feet infested with tar ball bubble toes.
You know what I have a problem with Jack Johnson? Every song is the same.
I love Jack Johnson.
I mean, I do. I like him too.
Mhm.
I do. Every song is the same.
When you move like a jellyfish, rhythm and nothing. You know that song? You know it, man. Bubble toes. You're welcome. Okay.
It's as simple as something that nobody knows that her eyes are as big
Just
as
picture
her
nothing.
bubbly toes on the
Yeah,
feet of
baby.
a queen of the hearts of
Here we
the
go.
cards, and
Her feet are all covered with tar balls and scars. That's right. That is what nobody is singing in his mind.
Well, good old Poppy Good old Poppy
She's got
is.
tar balls and scars on her feet.
You know
and
she
he's,
has a
like,
Jack
drooling.
Johnson T-shirt laying
Oh,
around
why
somewhere.
not? It just says, I heart Jack Johnson and toes. Okay, so we got Nori and Poppy somehow magically alive, just
Yeah.
nasty feet. Nobody comes on up. And they convince him to bring them to his village, which really cool. If you see how his village was kind of hidden within the crevices,
Yeah,
you
right,
kind of had
right.
to enter through this special way. And of course, the stores are a tinier civilization, so they can fit into these little crevices. But yet another fleshed out civilization. We got to see the inside of
Sure.
the dwarves' homes inside the mountains, and now we get to see kind of a desert hobbit style civilization. What did you think of the stores?
Yeah, this was also one of the other one-shots that I was talking about, Mary, when we get through the store's little, we'll call it village or habitat. It's an interesting little civilization, and bringing it full circle, Mary, the lore of how the stores kind of, one of them gave birth to the Harfoots, and you can imagine that both of them will then give birth to the Hobbits. I like seeing how that all comes about, right? I like hearing the story of how these people have kind of come together and departed and created their own versions of themselves.
You know what I was looking for?
What?
I was looking for a little kid to run around. Smeagol, come back.
Oh, that's.
But he's more of river people. He's not in a desert.
Yeah, no, I don't think
But
so.
I'm like, are we gonna meet Smeagol?
Well, it's really funny that you say that, Mira, because last night I was actually listening to the Lord of the Rings soundtrack as I was making dinners, crunch wraps, which, by the way, did not go well with our
They
children.
did not go well.
I was very upset by that. That's okay.
It like ruined your day that they didn't.
I
like
was
your
upset.
dinner.
I was upset.
You're like, let me make a Taco Bell classic at home.
I was like, dude, I can make.
Our kids have never eaten Crunch Wraps ever in their lives.
But I figured, okay, if there's one way I'm going to introduce Crunch Wraps to them, it's going to be through me because I'm going to make them awesome.
Fail.
Epic friggin' fail. I couldn't believe how bad of a fail
Your
it was.
children are 19-year-old college students.
Oh,
Like, that's why.
man. Anyway, I was actually listening to the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, and the Gollum song came on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, man, are we going to end up seeing Gollum at all in this season, like in this show at all? And I don't know if, number one, if they have the right to it, if they have the ability to put him in, like, legally.
I don't think they're going to, just because from what I understand in regards to how hobbits age, they age kind of like humans. Because remember, Bilbo ends up being 111, and that's a really, really big deal.
Yes.
So that being said, like, okay, Harfords probably live as long as regular humans do nowadays. And when Smeagol finds the ring, I mean, he doesn't find it. When they find it at the bottom of the river, it has been a long time and it has been forgotten.
Right.
So I don't think we're going to see Smeagol personally, unless we see like a hand grab a ring at the end of season 4.
Sure. I think that would be a fun way to end the show. Actually, like the closing image, a hand grabbing the ring at
Next
the bottom
to like
of the...
Isildur's hilt of a sword or something.
Yeah, I
like,
think that would be cool. I think that would be fun. There's just an interesting way to lead into
but I
the
don't think we're going to
films.
get a little baby Smeagol.
I don't think so either. Yeah, you know what it is? I couldn't take the store's story seriously because of Mary Mac's hair. He looked like a hedgehog. He looked like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Do you like that his name is Mary Mac? It kind of reminds you of Mary?
Yes, I like that. But
we need to have different hairstyles for different people.
Sure.
Also, you know, like they just have different textures of hair. So you have to think like, you know, if you're stuck in the desert and you have limited resources, what are you going to do? And
you know what it reminded me of?
Make it like modern day hair.
You know what it reminded me? Remember that show on Amazon, or was it Netflix, about the wolves and the little girl with the father? And it was played by Sean Bean, the guy who it plays. What's his name? Ned Stark. in Game of Thrones. The father was voiced by him, and it's like the girl goes out and she sees the little family of wolf people and the girl with the red hair that sticks all the way up. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
Wolfwalkers?
Wolfwalkers, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
What's that show about these wolf walkers?
Yeah.
What's the name of that show?
That's an awesome animated show.
It is a really cool animated show. I would totally recommend it. It's kid friendly, like really cool show. The way that they animate it too, it looks like a tapestry the entire time, how they animate it. Really cool. Anyway.
I just think that, they have to be creating looks just like the Harfoot's hair. The Harfoot's hair is so different. So I just think it's different people and the way that they style it, plus different textures. So I don't have a problem with his hair. I actually think it's a fun, different kind of look.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of look, I will say that the Ents look really cool. I was a little worried about how they were going to do it, if it was just going to be a total copy of how the films did it. But it wasn't. They had their own feel and vibe that I think separates them from the films, but it still is familiar enough where you kind of get it. Were you happy with how they ended up turning out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I was a little worried. I was a little I thought it was going to be cheesy, and it wasn't. And I really liked that scene when the male Ent, who's played by Jim Broadbent, by the way, of Professor Slughorn fame.
You're a wizard, Harry.
How he kind of like is on the ground and lifts himself up and like unfurls himself.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool visual.
Another cool tree visual was with the stranger. And when he gets to meet Tom Bombadil and his map goes missing and he gets excited because he sees a piece of a tree that kind of looks like a staff and he decides to break it off. And the tree envelops him.
Oh, yeah.
Just sucks him right on in, twists him in. And then Tom goes up. Oh, give him back.
Yeah, right.
It's okay. Eat dirt. Deep roots. Come on. You do your thing. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
That's why I was in on the Rory Kinnear as Hagrid. Like that was 100% Hagrid.
It really cool to have him say he's the eldest. You know, he was there before time even began. And for him to still be so jolly and look relatively young. And he said that he came to a room when it was once a beautiful land. So to see this wasteland, this desert, yet he was there back when it was beautiful. And he kind of gives a little bit of forewarning about the Dark Wizard, the one that we're not really worried about, probably.
Yep.
And he tells the stranger, you have to stop both the Dark Wizard, the fire, and Sauron. This is something I'm a little confused at, and if any listeners want to weigh in, that would be greatly appreciated. When has the stranger truly heard about Sauron before talking right now with Tom Bombadil?
Right, because the stranger, not Gandalf,
yes,
mentions Sauron first.
He says the fire. Well, what about Sauron?
Right.
Exactly. So I don't recall Nori and Poppy having discussions about Sauron. I don't really, and they've kind of just been by themselves.
Right. They've been out just like running around, doing their own thing.
You know, I just don't understand where, did we miss a conversation? Was there something else that happened that didn't make it to screen? Am I forgetting a conversation that the stranger had with somebody? But for him to kind of have this knowledge of like, what do you mean? I'm the one that needs to stop Sauron when you don't. I don't think you know all the stories. It was pretty interesting. However, this elevates things to bringing him to even more likely Gandalf status.
Yeah.
Because Gandalf is the one that leads the charge and takes the team to help finally end the ring.
Sure. So do you think Tom Bombadil's his involvement in all of this is to make not Gandalf?
Yes.
I kind of agree. It gives me a vibe of like a watcher kind of feel, where it's just like, okay, I'm here, I'm putting people on their paths, I'm doing the things that they need. Like I am making sure that people go where they need to go and they end up where they need to end up. But what status does that give Tom Bombadil in this world? Like, if he was there at creation, okay, so let's just say that he was there at creation. He was there before the first acorn fell, whatever. Does that make him a godlike figure in this story?
I don't know about godlike, but definitely not mortal.
I mean, well, he's singing with a lady that don't exist.
I think godlike is very strong, and I don't necessarily see that as a thing in the Tolkien universe, I guess.
Okay.
But just not being of mortal, like, look how long Sauron's lived for.
Sure.
So I just see him being kind of a different being. He is in the books. He is in the Lord of the Ring books. He even meets Frodo, and Gandalf talks about seeing him. So it's just not necessarily portrayed in the movies, which is what a lot of people kind of revert back to when they're thinking about the lore.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know, but I like Tom.
I'm kind of out on Tom.
That's okay for you.
I'm a little out.
Hagrid is also my favorite character
That's true.
out of
Good
Harry
point.
Potter. Out of the entire Harry Potter series, Hagrid is my favorite. So I don't think it's a far fetch for me to be like, I love Tom.
I agree. Speaking of Sauron, though, Mary, we don't have Sauron in this episode or Celebrimbor like we talked about, but we do have Elrond and company looking for Sauron, and
No, they're not looking for him. They're trying to get to Aragon.
Eregion.
Right, yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're trying to get to Eregion.
Tolkien, what are you doing? Stop it! Yes, Eregion. They're trying to get there, and Elrond keeps trying to find every excuse that it's not Sauron. Oh, this bridge must have been hit by lightning.
Right. And by the way, I also want to mention, too, that I am appreciating the little cutaways to the map that they're doing. The cutaways in the first season existed, but they feel different. They feel a little bit different this season. And I really like how on the map, it will show like an ink blot, and that ink blot turns out to be a feature that will then become a feature like that's filmed.
Yes.
And in this case, it was the bridge. They may have done that in the first season and whatever, fine. But it just feels different this season. And it really helps me as a viewer keep track of where we are and like what the setting is.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could get lost. You could get lost like between Lindon and then Eregion, and then we're going, to the Southlands or Mordor, or then we're going to like Pelagria or whatever the heck the name of that place is. Like, there's a million different places that we could be going. Pelagria, that's what I was thinking of. And I like that we have the map to help us keep track of all of that.
Agreed.
But Elrond, it looks like things are not going to end well for Elrond.
Oh, he's not in a good place. He's not listening to Galadriel, and you can understand why. She keeps touching the bloody ring, being like, oh, I'm having these visions. The visions, of course, what she has is as they're near that, quote, lightning damaged bridge.
Right.
We get to see a shot of Elrond with a knife to his throat. It was less than 10 seconds. It was very hard for me to kind of pause and see what was going on. But she saw a knife to Elrond's throat. She saw a bunch of orcs pulling down a statue. She saw Sauron in what looks to be black, kind of scaled armor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking to someone with whitish blonde hair, which I can only assume is her, but we don't fully know. But it is Sauron form. It is not Anatar form.
Right.
And it goes really quickly. And Elrond sees her touching the ring, and she's saying, listen, this wasn't lightning. This is Sauron. We can't go to this dark woods. I don't want to go this way. And Elrond is very adamant that he is not going to take Galadriel's advice as long as she keeps touching that ring.
Sure.
And yet they go to this woods, and it is very treacherous.
Yeah, and it's bad.
Yes.
And the idea was, I'm not going to listen to this thing because I don't want people to die. Mm-hmm. And yet she's like, yeah, neither do I. And people die anyway.
These Barrow Wights were friggin' crazy.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So crazy.
That was awesome.
of course, they're the ones that stopped those initial elves that were going to be going and having the message to Celebrimbor. So now we know, I mean, now the elves know, now Galadriel and Elrond know that Celebrimbor actually had no warning.
Right.
Make haste, as Eloise would say in Bridgerton. We now need to make haste. And we lose one of the elves. He gets sucked into the Barrow Wight's little cave. Another one gets hit by an arrow. And when Galadriel touches him,
it heals.
It heals and it pushes the arrow out.
Right.
This is new.
This is new, and it makes you wonder if Elrond sees this and then changes his mind. Or, better yet, I really liked the scene where he says, guys, she's not trying to save us. She's trying to save the ring.
Yes.
But I don't see it in a bad light. I see it in a light of, oh, this kind of makes sense. I kind of get it now. Do you think having possession of the ring, do you think he puts it on, number one? And number two, even if he doesn't put it on, having possession of the ring, do you think that will give him the same kind of visions that Galadriel has? And is that the reason why he ends up having one of the rings later on in Lord of the Rings?
Interesting. I don't know.
Because when you see a power like that, Mary, you can't deny that.
Yeah.
You can't say like, oh, that's bad news. Like, that just healed someone who was definitely gonna croak.
Yes.
It was gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty wild. I don't know. I haven't been able to make my own assumptions yet because, of course, this isn't the ring that Elrond ends up with.
Right.
Galadriel does get her ring back. But yeah, will he try it just to see if he can bippity boppity boo if someone gets hurt that he loves? I don't know. We're going to find out for sure. Yeah. I forgot to mention when we were with Tom Bombadil, a.k.a. Hagrid, this was Bear McCreary, the composer, has obviously written and scored not just the show, but like each episode has its own album, essentially, of pieces that he's written for it. And he had written a song about old Tom Bombadil, and Rufus Wainwright sings in it. So this was actually a release, like a single released. They also had the Damrod song released as well. So previously Galadriel and Sauron had been released as singles, but these are the two singles that have been released so far, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder about Elrond and how he's going to react to all of this. And
he's going to have a little identity crisis.
Yeah,
there's
going to be something. And that's why I find the stuff between Elrond and Galadriel some of the more interesting parts of what they're trying to achieve.
Everything Elrond. Something really cool he says to her is he says, my dad foresaw that Celebrimbor's fate is going to be in my hands.
Right.
Oh, and we know what that fate's going to be because Galadriel already had a little vision of it. Remember when he was like, all
do you think
stabbed and
Elrond
everything?
has the chance to kill Sauron and doesn't? Like, he does the same thing that Galadriel did.
I don't know, but somehow he's going to be responsible for Celebrimbor's fate, and that's not good.
My sense is that Celebrimbor dies this season, and Sauron kills him. And
how is Elrond?
And then Elrond has the ability to save Celebrimbor, but doesn't.
With his bippity boppity boo ring?
Yeah.
He doesn't put it on?
That's what I feel like. Something along those lines is going to happen.
Okay. All right. I like where you're going with this idea.
Something like that. If it's not this season, it'll be next. But I don't really, after the rings are forged, I don't really see a point for Celebrimbor.
Do you think Galadriel knew she wasn't going to make it when she went off to go fight? She gives the ring to Elrond and she's like, hurry, go away. I'll hold them off. Do you think she knows that she will either die or be captured?
No, I don't think that I think she thought, I'm going to take care of this.
I don't think she knew how many there were going to be.
Probably, but I think she also knows she can handle herself. Yeah. And the way that she says, go back to the shadow, which is the same thing that Gandalf says to the Balrog in Lord of the Rings. I think when she says that, she knows, oh, I got this. We're going to take care of this. What she doesn't anticipate is Adar. I don't think she anticipated seeing him. But I think that she thought, yeah, it's a bunch of orcs. Like, I'll take care of that. Because she goes into it just like, yeah, no, these are elven lands. Take a hike. See you later. So we'll see what comes of Adar and Galadriel. And then again, and how that works with Elrond. And again, this is why I think these are the interesting parts of what the show is trying to do. The stuff with the stores, and I would even dare say the stuff with the stranger, it all feels kind of side questy.
That's okay.
It all feels side questy.
Side quests don't mean that they're wrong. And I think that that's what Tom Bombadil is saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's like, you're going to have to do some of this stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, yeah, you're here and you're hanging on now and you flew in with friggin' Nori people, but you're going to have to make this choice of fighting the fire and Sauron.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to me, nothing is necessarily a side quest. I think side quest has a bad connotation that it's pointless and it's worthless.
Sure.
One could argue the worm was a side quest. Pointless, worthless, aside from being like, oh, crazy, dark, spooky things are happening now in the woods. We get that already.
Sure, but it shows us a little bit of characterization with Estrid. She could have, as what I said, like when we were watching, I was like, okay, see you later. I'm out. I'll figure out these manacles later. Mm-hmm. She doesn't do that. Like the way that they edit it, it makes it feel like she's going to do that, but she obviously doesn't. And we even kind of get the fact that Arondir has a little bit of a sense of humor when he's like, there are a lot of nameless things in this world, and this is one of them, but tonight we're going to call this supper. Like, that was really cool. And then I will also say the fact that we actually get something from Isildur other than, brooding, like lovey-dovey. He actually has a little bit of levity when he's like, what was that? When he comes out. I thought that was really good. I felt like that was a good natural reaction that made me laugh. Anything else you want to talk about in this episode, my love?
No.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're good. We're at an hour, so I think we're in good shape. All right, let's close this bad boy out, shall we?
We shall.
All right, let's do it.
It's as simple as something that nobody knows.
Yes.
If you thought I was gonna not close this episode out to this song,
Her
then you
feet
got another
are
thing
infested
coming.
with tar balls and scars. And her name's Poppy. She's acorns in her hair.
It's a common
Oh my gosh. Hysterical, friends. You're welcome.
Jack Johnson.
In case you haven't had Jack Johnson in your life recently and you forgot about bubbly toes.
And you just forgot about Jack Johnson.
Hey, you can't forget about Jack Johnson.
Jack Johnson was
Banana pancakes.
He was enormous when we were like in college.
Curious George soundtrack with Will Ferrell. So good.
Was it Will Ferrell?
I think Will Ferrell was the guy in yellow.
Was he?
I thought so, Blake.
Oh, I'm gonna look it up right now.
Go for it. Yeah, but he did that wonderful soundtrack. It's kind of like when Phil Collins did the Tarzan soundtrack. It's like, guys, why are you doing a whole soundtrack? This is kind of weird, but I'm also kind of into it.
Yeah, it was Will Ferrell.
Knew it. Nailed it.
Yep,
Yeah, Will
sorry.
Ferrell has done a lot of kids stuff, like the Lego movie. And
The guy who was the voice of Megatron in Transformers was the voice of Curious George in the film.
Awesome.
Frank
Good for him.
Welker.
Good for him. Nice
believe that?
diverse. Hey, we're talking about bubble toes. I can believe anything right now. All right, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Rings of Power with Blake and myself. We are loving this season of Rings of Power. We hope that you are too. Don't forget, you can send us an email, maryandblakemedia@gmail.com. You can send us a voicemail. And we're going to be getting back at you with the next episode very shortly. My name's Mary.
My name is Blake.
Namarie?
Namarie.
Namarie?
You're gonna get it once.
I will.
One day you will.
I'm hopeful. At least I remembered bubble toes. See, this is where my brain is. I can't remember what I'm actually supposed to say, but I can remember
You remember bubble
friggin'
toes.
Infested tarball bubble toes song. You're welcome, world.
Infested tar balls, bubble
Infested
toes.
with tar balls and scars. Jack Johnson, how did you make this?
What are we doing? You're the Curious George
Here we
guy.
go. Oh, it's come to move like the jellyfish. It's my favorite. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Move like a jellyfish. Rhythm means nothing. Move like you don't stop. Move like a jellyfish. Rhythm is nothing. What? Rhythm is nothing. happens when you're a jellyfish.
Rhythm is everything.
When you're a jellyfish, man. You don't have any bones.
Jellyfishes have rhythm. That's how they move.
Hey.
They got rhythm.
So whoever this bubble toe girl with boo-boos on her feet, she dances like a jellyfish. Not with rhythm.
Which is not a great sight.
No, but she's got friggin' tarballs on her feet, so you know she's not a looker.
She's a Boston 7.
Good for her. Good for her. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine like having dated Jack Johnson, maybe like at summer camp and your nasty feet, you never had rhythm, you were a bad dancer, and then you hear this on the radio and you're like, I think that's about me. I think that's my
My
camp
feet had
boyfriend.
scars on them.
I lost my shoes in the pond after the kayaking accident. Oh my God. And then we had the dance competition and everyone told me I look like a jellyfish. This song is about me. You're welcome, world. My name's Mary.
My name is Blake.
Namari A-E.
You still can't get it right.
Whatevs, man.
Namarie.
Namarie.
I even have the pronunciation for you.
I turned off my iPad.
La